This is Breaking the News Plus on this Monday night, a night after a record-setting day for one player on the Minnesota Lynx. And to talk about that one player is the one and only voice of the Lynx for Victory Plus, Sloane Martin. Hello, Sloane.
Hello. I feel like I still have not recovered from that kind of performance. It was that extraordinary. Even for those of us who are very, very familiar with Kayla McBride, that was something special to take in.
You know, and you didn't see it coming in the first quarter, really. Like, you didn't have any indication that a woman at 34 years old, that is not old, but in athlete years, she's in the veteran category, coming off a game against the Aces that's going to go kind of a iffy first quarter that turns into the game of her life. So let's sum it up for the viewers at home. Kayla McBride scored 43 points yesterday against the Dallas Wings, scored 43 points when her defensive assignment was Paige Becker's. No slouch there. It's the most three-pointers, 10 of them, most threes in a single WNBA game by Kayla McBride, the veteran. A lot of people that love Kayla McBride, I know you do, love her game, love her attitude. You couldn't be happier for this player.
That's exactly how I'm feeling right now. This is a player in her 13th season who has just not gotten the shine and the flowers that she deserves, the adulation that goes along with the talent and what she's accomplished in the WNBA in her career. She is someone who has perfected her craft relentlessly throughout her career. You can strike up the nerdiest conversation you've ever had about setting her feet, her quick shot release. She studies shooting to the most minute details, and that's how you have that kind of result. Her dedication to this game and the process of being great, but also what she does behind the scenes to prepare her body. I know Nafisa Collier said on NBC after the game that Kayla McBride said she was running off of Advil and vibes, and that's how she was able to do a back-to-back in under 24 hours. But there is so much work that she does behind the scenes to prepare her body to make sure she can play those kind of minutes, have those kind of performances. But this felt like a particularly important benchmark, even in WNBA history. Yes, it was historical on paper, but to get 10 threes that multiple players had come short of, this was a spectacular performance, and one that I think even goes beyond the record books.
And it was certainly riding a wave. It was just an incredible couple of days for Lynx fans. The last three games have seen 14,000 plus fans in Target Center. I never thought I'd see the day I might cry when I'm recalling this, that there would be a standing ovation and the crowd saying, "Kayla, Kayla." For a woman that didn't make the All-Star game this year, although she should, for a woman that hasn't won a title with this team, but she will. You're right, she doesn't always get the flowers, but when you talk to Coach Reeve or you talk to people in the league, they'll run through a wall for Kayla McBride.
They absolutely will, because of her consistency. As much as she is synonymous with her three-point shooting, that lethal ability from beyond the arc, she also is just as recognized for her selflessness, for her hustle, her heart, for being an outstanding teammate. That is something that I also think of when I think of her game in her entire career. Coach Reeve says she's kind of that mother figure on the team. She isn't the oldest sister in her family as well, and kind of that nurturer with the Minnesota Lynx. So I think her veteran leadership, her presence, has allowed someone like Olivia Miles to blossom the way that she has, to help this team be the #1 team in the WNBA all season long. But someone who is just so dedicated to doing the work without that shine, I think people take notice of that. They know how tough she is to stop, because on the scouting report for Kayla McBride, it is obviously don't let her shoot. She's going to make them. And the fact that she finds her shots while guarding someone like Paige Becker's, it just speaks volumes about her talent, her intensity, her dedication, and all of that is very much noticed throughout the entire league. And you have to agree with Coach Reeve, who said she is an all WNBA player this season.
I want to talk a little bit about Kayla McBride's backstory and her character. I became a Kayla McBride fan pretty early on when she came to the Lynx in 2021. And the reason why, Sloane, is that she had penned an essay in the Players Tribune in September of 2020, and it was called "It's Okay to Fall Apart." And she talked about her struggle with mental health and anxiety. And she raised her hand and said, "Me too. I feel a dumbbell on my chest and I can't describe the feeling, and hoop is where I go to be free." but spoke really candidly and personally about her anxiety and mental health struggles back in 2020. Really let people see that this is a player coming into our team that lives in the whole world with a lot of feelings. And I think we still see that in Kayla McBride. She's doing great now, seems so healthy, mentally and physically, but always lets us in to what she's thinking and feeling.
That kind of vulnerability is so incredibly special to be able to express, especially as a professional athlete, someone who has this kind of stature and professionalism that she does, the platform that she has. So I still remember how striking it was to read that, to just lay bare things that she was going through, to help, that resonate or connect with other people who are going through the same thing, that being a professional basketball player is not all sunshine and rainbows. There still is so much that you don't realize these athletes are going through. And that makes me also, fast forward to now and think about the kind of player she is. She really credits her time here with the Minnesota Lynx. She says, I've matured, I've come into my own. And Coach Reeve has talked about it too. She's so comfortable now in her own skin that this is the result that we're seeing on the court. She says things are just going so well, off the court, on the court as well, that those two go so hand in hand. So you're exactly right to bring up that journey, to see where she had been, the struggles she had experienced throughout her life, how basketball was a solve for so much that she's gone through in her personal life, and bringing that to the court. And then to fast forward to now and see not the other side, but to see how she's been able to go through that journey to become this player, this person who is playing with unbridled joy right now. That's the only way you can describe the way she's performed this season. A career year, at 34 years old, in her 13th season, and they are not mutually exclusive when you think about the on and off the court and how she's doing.
I think you're exactly right, Sloane. And she said as much yesterday after that game. People, of course, people like yourself and me, we ask, how does it feel to break that record? I think Kayla McBride used the word grateful and happy more times in 20 minutes than I'd heard any player do that. And she also talked just about her pure love of basketball, her love of this team and organization, her love of the city of Minneapolis and the state of Minnesota. It was just pouring out of her. She wants to shout from the rooftops of the Fauché, I am happy, hear me roar.
I love that visual, because that's really how it makes you feel, the way she has talked throughout this entire season, that Minnesota is home. This is where I've become the player and person that I am right now, to get to this point in my life that you cannot overlook the impact of this organization, of this place. So when you experience a Target Center, like you mentioned, that is chanting her name, that shows the appreciation they have for her, that knows the loyalty that exists within her. Because remember, she signed with the Minnesota Lynx not knowing how things would unfold, not knowing this would be the number one team in the WNBA and a championship favorite, but she was committed to being here and being a Lynx. So I think that was also what came out in terms of the fans and that kind of response, that gratitude. And I think she understands that, understands the connection that she has with fans, with this place, whether it's, spots that she likes to go to, or just a level of comfort that she has living here. You can tell it's reciprocated, and she understands that. That was a really cool moment, not just inside the arena, but you're right, the way she was talking to media afterwards, to say, this place has been so special to me, and that really is palpable.
Absolutely. She has said more than one time, and said it again yesterday, Coach Cheryl Reeve changed the trajectory of her career, and you see it. That essay that said it's okay to fall apart is September of 2020. We sign her in February of 2021, and you start to see what she's talking about now, changing the trajectory of her career. One of the things that Coach Reeve does, you know it better than most, is that she wants players to be themselves. So this was the fit, almost like preordained for somebody like Kayla McBride needed to come here to heal and to be the best player that we're seeing her be now. It's such a privilege to witness.
It is. It absolutely is, especially for someone who we know from Coach Reeve, from her teammates, who treats people so well, who is such a genuinely good leader and caring person of the people around her. I mean, she's so easy to root for in many different ways, especially the way that she plays. We can't also take away from just the skill and the talent that she has and, that she's possessed throughout her entire career, especially as a member of the Lynx. But it really does make you reflect on how treating people well is so valuable to this organization, so ingrained within the culture under Cheryl Reeve that she really personifies that and continues, I think, that tradition too. So that's another reason why there just has been a smile, I think, on every Lynx fan's face from yesterday and even into today. I was thinking about Rebecca Brunson. I feel like whenever she was shown on TV on the sideline, there was a huge smile, a huge grin across her face seeing McBride have this kind of performance. And I think that's where that comes from, that support for her, because of how she's been able to make other people feel around her and getting this team to where it is.
And I want to know what you think to my observation, my statement, I guess, because everybody knows I'm a fan. But I think the personality that we get to see, the parts of our players that we get to see, the respect they have for each other, their camaraderie, the respect they get from the coach who tells them to be themselves. That's all we really want in life, all of us, not just WNBA players, but people. I think that the fans somehow energetically get that. And that's why they show up 14,000 plus all these games and will continue to show up. It's why, like, you want them to win so badly, because you actually care about them and you feel like they care about playing for you as fans.
I think that's 100% true. It's part of that authenticity, how genuine so many players on this team come across, how approachable they seem. And it's because they can be themselves. And it's something I think KMAC even said herself a couple of weeks ago, where she said, come as you are, the weirder, the better. In terms of like how they're going to accept the rest of their teammates, that everyone can just be their true authentic selves, no matter how they express that, as weird as they want to be. And I think to have that kind of environment where people feel safe, supported, and loved as who they are, that is something that fans can really pick up on. You can see it in other moments, in glances, and being in the arena, how they treat each other, how they're supporting each other. I think fans, even if they're not the biggest basketball fans like we are, I think they can also pick up on what that looks like when a team genuinely is connected, the chemistry there. And I think about what Coach Reeve said, and this was from very early on this season, where she said, I didn't think that we would be able to find a starting five that had that same cohesion, that chemistry from the last couple of years. This team has exceeded that. So it was apparent from so early on, the foundation that existed just in terms of that chemistry that has continued throughout this year, where they've been able to ride the highs and the lows to get to this point, to consistently be the number one team in the WNBA. So I think what you see, you can trust in terms of how this team really works with each other.
Yeah, I want to just throw a last observation. It's not mine. I read it on social media right before I started chatting with you, and they were replaying Kayla's remarks at the end of the game, saying how much she loved the city, loved the game, loved the fans, loved the organization, teammates, love everywhere. And somebody commented on that remark saying, well, Kayla is never leaving Minnesota, so they're going to have to make room on that coaching bench when she's decided to be done playing. And I thought, you're right. And two, what a perfect fit, because we already see it on our coaching bench when we have Rebecca Brunson and Lindsay Whalen, and it speaks to the organizational culture. You never want to leave. You want to stop playing and coach the team. You want to be a part of it. And I think that is what makes being a Lynx fan such a privilege and honor and so special.
When people want to come back, that says a lot. That says a lot to me about what the culture is, about what it's like to work there, because there's going to be other options for players, for coaches who are going to be so highly sought after, who are so immeasurably, accomplished in their career, like we see with the Minnesota Lynx. So to have this entire group together, I think it says so much about why people want to be there. So I think that is a really great observation. And who knows? I don't know if she's talked about exactly what she wants to do. She's like, okay, I know I'm 34 years old, but I still got some years ahead of me in basketball. So I don't even know if she's thinking that far ahead just yet. But that it has to be basketball. And who would be surprised to see her work with the next generation Kayla McBride, who has that kind of stroke that she does?
Hey, stay forever. 43 points yesterday. Nobody's kicking you out of your sneakers just yet. We want you to be a part of that title team to win number 5 here. What a special game to see. What a special team to follow. And what a special person to join us tonight. Sloane Martin, it's always a pleasure talking to you tonight.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Appreciate all of you for watching Breaking the News Plus. We'll see you next time. Take care.